This is Mitch, and welcome to the 1000houses.com podcast. I'm here with Joe McCall, and we're going to be talking about vacant land profits and all that stuff you've been walking by all this time. We're going to show you how to make some money off of it and add it to your tool belt so you can get a few more yeses and some less nos. So here's another thing. So like, say you find that 10 acres, we're really looking for 10 acres, like in the corner of a county road and a county dirt road and a paved road, or at least in a corner, because then if you're in the right county and you're outside the ETJ, which is the extraterritorial jurisdiction of a big city or an incorporation like San Antonio, we really look outside, out in the county where there's very little regulation, if any at all, because out in the county, we've learned the counties in the areas contiguous to our county that are very easy to deal with. And we can just divide up that 10 acres by legal description. We don't have to replat it at the courthouse. We just have to send a surveyor out and say, this is the dimensions. We want to cut it up into 10 pieces out of this 10, and we want 10 acres or however many acres that they can access their land from the road. And that's why it's so important to be in the corner, so that it helps you access all the parcels that you're going to divide it up into. So you really don't have to have any flag lots. And you know what I mean by flag lot, right?
No.
I know you do. Well, okay, you got a lot on the road and you can come right in off the road, but it's so deep that you don't want to sell that big a piece. So you make a flag lot, which is like a 20-foot easement that goes in, and then it opens up to the acre behind them. So you got the lot, and then you got a flag lot that opens up behind that lot that's on the road. They still get access from the road, but they got to go down a longer driveway, and then they turn left or right into their acre or their parcel. So, so we're looking for that, and we're looking for the counties that are easy to deal with. And so all you're really doing is you're selling your parcels by the master plot, the 10 acres, and then a piece known as, meets and bounds. This is the piece,
Nice.
by meets and bounds. And that, replatting could cost $15,000, and platting by meets and bounds could cost $1,500,
Okay.
And so you take 10 acres now, and you've made it, you bought it at a 10 acre price, and now you're selling it at the 1 acre price. And you can almost buy that 10 acres at market and win pretty damn good.
Mm-hmm.
You buy at any discount under market, and now you're doubling your money.
I just bought your book.
Thank you. And so here's another thing. We took 100 acres and we did that, and we made half-acre mobile home lots. Okay. Made 120 half-acre mobile home lots because we had to put a road down the middle, which is where all the cost comes in.
Interesting.
The road was the cost, goes down as a cul-de-sac. You go all down, you big cul-de-sac, you can turn around. Everyone can get to their lots off this land. Off this road. And so what happens is we had to have a big boy come in and loan us the money for the whole 100 acres, $650,000, let's say. But as soon as we got it busted up into little pieces, half-acre lots, I could go back to my private lenders and go, hey, loan me $30,000, $35,000 on how many of these you want to loan me. I'll give you $35,000 to have a first lien on each one of these lots. I'm going to be selling them for $69,000. Okay. And so now I can cash my big boy out by bringing in all my little investors who don't have that much money. And I can say, one guy say, well, I want 3 of them because I got 130,000. This other person says, well, I can only do 1 because I only got 40,000, but I'll do that lot. And so we get our big boy out, and we keep the bulk of our private lenders money busy, but most of the private lenders have smaller increments, and that's one way to do it. So you get a guy and say, hey, give me a year with your money, and I'll buy the whole thing. It takes a different kind of guy to loan you $650,000. Let's just face it. That's a whole different private money guy.
Oh yeah.
Very sophisticated, especially when it's raw, hasn't anything been proven, but we have those guys. And then, like I said, we bust it up, and then we start, as soon as we get half of those, we get everyone to, you take 650 and divide it by 120 lots. How much do you need per lot to get this guy his money back? We go get 120 private lenders their money out, which is it's never one per lot. It's just some people take 3, some people take 5,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know, but that's one way to do it. I mean, we did it on a 180 acre piece that we busted into 18 10-acre parcels. And then we called the water well drilling company. It's normally $16,000 to drill a water well, but because we were 18 right in a row, you know, just move the truck over
saved
100
time.
yards and drill another one, and move it again, drill another one. We got it for 12. So for an extra 12,000, we got the water there, and then we had the electric come to each. You know, we put a pole on each one, and all of a sudden, we can't keep them. We cannot keep them. I mean, we sold them we had some of them sold before we even put the signs out because people saw us. And then when we put the signs out, we sold them in less than 40 days.
Nice.
Now here's the other thing. About 40% of them will go get their own loan because our interest rate on our owner finance is 10%. And that matters to some people. It matters to people who can qualify for a new loan. It matters a lot to them. But for the people that can't qualify for a new loan, the 10% is irrelevant. They just want to know if they can make the payment and what's the down payment. We want to know if they can make the payment. So
Sure.
we're both on the same page there. So what happens is the 40 or 50% that come with a new loan pays our debt off. And now we got the other 7 10-acre lots free and clear, and we're owner financing with no debt. You always got to watch that debt. You know, that debt, especially if you're signing with the bank.
Yeah.
And you can do it with a bank. Well, not really. Banks don't want to go out on raw land too. You know, they really don't like it. So you got to find, you know, the private lender who appreciates the 10% you're offering him. Also appreciates that you've got a plan to get him out shortly through other private lenders, smaller ones. And so, that's a technique I thought was really ingenious.
So let me ask you something too, Mitch. When you're looking for a buyer for your vacant land, how are you qualifying them? And are you qualifying them very much?
Well, we qualify them. We're just going by Dodd-Frank because if they build a house and put a homestead, it's really gray, but we're not having trouble finding the people that can qualify. And quite frankly, if you put yourself through the paces to meet the Dodd-Frank standard and make sure that you're satisfied that you have more than, you have at least a reasonable reason to believe they can make the payment, your foreclosure rate drops down to nothing.
So what are some of the things you do to see if they do qualify for under Dodd-Frank?
Just paycheck stubs. I mean, you use the old FHA 43% of your disposable income now, which I think is 50% now, but we're still looking at like 43. We want them to be, and just see where their income is, where they make their money. And again, the most important question, what are you going to put on this property? Because the more they put on it, the faster they put it on there. I don't care if they pay or not, if they build something on it. And that's why we put the water and the electric and built it into the price so that they wouldn't have to spend their money on that. They could actually go put some start on the fun part, the cabin or the tiny house or the barn or whatever it is they're going to do.
So are you using an RMLO agent, like a licensed mortgage originator?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. But the argument is that you don't have to do it on raw land. You could probably certainly, I think you could get away with it if they said it's never going to be their homestead. Now, if they say it's going to be their homestead, then I think you might want to think twice about not having an RMLO. I think you should have one, or find a different buyer.
Yeah.
Or sell it to do they own a corporation or an LLC? Sell it to that.
Yeah.
I
love it.
Maybe
I appreciate you letting me ask you all the questions.
Well, it's getting us to the same thing. Our goal here on this call was to talk to the listeners about private land and how it works, so it's all right in the ballpark. So
nice. Love it. I love talking about this business. It's so awesome.
But the other thing I started doing, because boredom is the death of entrepreneurs. You know what I mean? It can really get you in trouble. So we moved it up a notch and we bought 1,700 acres and broke it into 200-acre ranchettes.
Wow, really?
We bought 822 acres on a ranch that had a problem. You could look it up. It's Uvalde County, Grand Vistas. You can look up Lands of America. It's Uvalde County. Look up Grand Vistas. That's my ranch. That was my ranch till Christmas Eve.
Wow.
It was 822 acres. It had a 19-foot elevation and an 1800-foot elevation right in the middle. It cut the ranch in half. And of course, these two elevations had a saddle, but it was still to get in a four-wheel ATV, that seats two people, one in the front with the steering wheel and one behind you holding on. Took an hour and 15 minutes to go over the saddle, which was the low part, to get to the back. And there was 3 occasions that you didn't know if you were going to live or not. So that ranch had a problem. You couldn't get from one end to the other easily or safely. So we bought the ranch at a price with its problems, and then we put in 3.5 miles of roads. One from the front gate right over the saddle in the middle, all the way to the back gate. It was a Iron Wolf grinder. It's like a 12-foot wide cylinder with teeth on it, and they lower it down to the ground, and it cuts about 6 inches into the ground, and it spits the gravel out the back about golf ball size.
Really?
And so you end up with a really nice, and then they roll it with a roller behind when it's done. And it's all caliche up there. And so it would make like a county road. And we spent, we bought the place for 1.2. We spent 300,000 on some improvements, and about 200,000 of it was that grinder and putting in those roads.
Wow.
And we sold it for 2.2 million in 2 weeks when we put it up.
So you
for
sold
sale.
the whole thing or just individual 200 acres?
No. This one was flipping an 822 acre ranch that had a problem. You couldn't get from the front to the back because it had this, we'll call it a mountain range down here, but it's a foothills. They had this problem. These 2 peaks cut the ranch right in half, and it'd take you an hour and 15, 20 minutes to get there on just on a four-wheeler. It had like a goat trail going over it. When we finished, you could come in the front gate in my F-250 pickup truck and get to the back, not even get out of your truck once, in 15 minutes.
Oh, wow.
Just up and over and you're there.
Nice.
So we recognized the ranch had a problem, and we figured out what it would take to solve the problem.
Just like
we
a
solved
house.
the problem, and we got paid. That check funded it. The wire, we found out the wire was in our account 5:30 p.m. Christmas Eve. What a present. What a present.
Good for you, man. That's awesome. I love hearing those stories.
It was a little under 500,000 net after all said and done. Commissions paid everybody, the overages, the problems we had. We had $1 million profit built into this thing, but we all know how rehabs and remodels go. And we'd never done a ranch before, so we weren't going to do anything like this unless it had a huge margin, because we figured we were going to learn a few lessons, and we did. And thank God we had $1 million margin, so we could still clear 400 and whatever thousand,
Nice.
because if we'd have cut it too tight, we'd have made nothing or lost some. What we really like, though, is the pieces that are 20 minutes from town, 30 minutes from the city limits, out in the country, but not so far that you can't find help or that people don't want to commute. Because where this 820 acre ranch was 2.5 hours from San Antonio.
Wow.
It was a hunting place, purely hunting. You're not going to run cattle on it or anything. It was a guy who bought it was an avid hunter, bought it for 2.2 million. He's going to put, I think, 2 or 3 million in it. His first job was to high fence it, because he's going to bring in exotic animals, and he's got the high fence, the whole thing.
Wow.
I don't even know what that would cost him on 822 acres in that kind of terrain, but my gosh.
Wow.
On those kind of properties, you got to hire a guy who only sells like $2 million properties, or there's specialists. This guy was spending $30,000 a month in Lands of America ranches. You know what I mean?
He was spending that much.
$30,000 a month in ads, but he's selling multi-million-dollar ranches. I think his most expensive ranch was 18 million. When he gets paid heavy.
Wow.
and he's really in the business. When he showed up, he had his F-350 truck. He had a trailer that was completely enclosed, wrapped with his business name, so-and-so ranch sales. And he pulled out a rig that had four iPads, one for each person. You sit down, you had an iPad in front of you. And he turns it on, and he'd already had it all figured out. And you see the boundaries of the ranch, my ranch, and he's showing me how he's going to sell it. And we drive, and you can see your cart, and you can see where you are on the whole ranch. And he's telling us where to put these roads. We actually consulted with him a little bit ahead of time. Do you think if we put these roads in, what will we be able to sell this place for?
Nice.
And he helped us.
Nice.
It was a little scary, and I don't know that I'm going to jump out there and do that again, because any bad time, economy, war with whoever breaks out, I don't want to be sitting there holding that kind of property. But for whatever reason, we did that one. I like the ones you break into smaller pieces and that you can sell or finance the whole thing if you have to, and everything's going to be all right. Because I think war or no war, or COVID or no COVID, people are going to value a piece of land away from the city.
I've been thinking a lot about that. Like, I would love to have a 50, 100 acre piece of land that I own, that has privacy. So if the, what hits the fan, I can go out there with my family. It's hunt.
It hits the shan. That's how you say it.
Yeah.
Hits the shan.
Hits the shan.
I have 160 acres that you need to come down and see me. Yeah. Actually, and I lease the 440 around me, so I'm hunting 600.
Wow. That's super cool.
You have
isn't it cool to know that you have a place you can go just to get away? Cell phone doesn't work. You could hide from the in-laws.
Okay, I got to correct you right there, though. My piece is, you see that needle in the background, the San Antonio Tower of Americas? It's 45 minutes south from that needle. And one of the requirements was my cell phone did need to work, because I could get a massive amount. I had a ranch where my cell phone didn't work. And you think that's where you're supposed to go. But the truth of the matter is, when you own businesses, you're almost in knots wondering what these people are doing today, and how many of them need to just ask me one question so they can close the damn deal. So I'm in my deer blind all the time, texting and solving problems. It's actually more of a comfort to me to be able to connect than it was when I couldn't connect. I'm much more relaxed that if anybody needs me, they're going to send me a text and I'll know if there's a problem. Now I'm hunting deer. Right now I'm hunting this deer. All
right. So anyway, but it would be nice to have a place you could go and bug out if you had to, right?
Yep.
If a certain political office party decided it's time to take all of our guns.
I did this. Really, it was one of the reasons I did it. It was a place to go bug out, and where I could feed my family by myself off the land, at least until the black market developed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, for that 30 or 60 days, for everyone to get a grasp and for the flow to start finding its way in again or whatever, I needed to be able to feed my family. I needed to have water, and I needed to be able to take a bath. And if I have to, I'll take a bath in the pond. You know what I mean? But at least, you know what I mean?
You got water.
I got water. Got wells.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Nice. Super
cool.
So,
I really like raw land. If you're not looking at raw land, now be careful about the inner city lots. I bought a lot of inner city lots. They practically gave them to me, $1,000 or whatever. The problem was people were dumping on them. Every time I turned my back or left, some people would dump on my little postage stamp lot. And if I didn't go take it away myself, the city was threatening to take it away for a fee, which I didn't like their fee at all. And so the inner city lots in the lesser neighborhoods were kind of dangerous because people would dump on them. The roofers will come in the middle of the night. Those South Side roofers would come in the middle of the night and drop all their shingles on my little land in less than 10 minutes. They'd raise the dump truck and it'd fall out, and then they'd take off.
Well,
and I got to deal with it.
That brings up a real interesting point, Mitch, because I have some friends that do a lot of flipping vacant lots inside of the city, and they're selling them to builders. Mm-hmm. So when you're looking for land, I'm going rural.
I'm going rural.
Yeah. I was going to say like that from my perspective, a lot less risky to do that, right?
Yeah, and I mean, especially since COVID, people are looking harder at getting out of the way of the mass population. They want to get out of the way. They don't want to be there. It scared a lot of people. The land sales when COVID hit were incredible. Yeah. Our days on market dropped to 4.
Yeah,
that's the other thing I'm using LiveCom for. I'm putting out these signs that say owner finance lots or owner finance houses, and all these people are calling, and I'm capturing their cell phone number, and then I have the hello message button turned on in LiveCom. So whenever they hang up, they get a text that says, to see all of my inventory, go to my Facebook page. I'm at Casas Dueño a Dueño SA. Everything's in Spanish in my town. All my websites, everything.
Yeah.
And so, so I drove all these people to my website. I found that when I had 3,000 people I could text that I had a new house, my days on market was 9 days. And I was getting my 10% minimum down. As it got up to 6 and 8 and 10,000 followers or people that I could text, I think I have 10,000 followers now at my free business page over on Facebook. I don't even put out signs for my houses now. I just post the picture and the details of the house on the page. I don't put signs, not one sign in my yard, in my house anymore. With no more signs, I'm done. So
that's interesting. You're sending them to a Facebook page and not your website.
No, the website, it was cumbersome. Someone had to get in, you had to, load, it's real easy to put these pictures and write whatever you want to about your houses over on Facebook. It doesn't cost anything. It's not even a hosting fee, And then you train over there, you train them how to buy your houses. How do you buy a house from owner finance house from us? Well, first thing is, you need to drive your family to the house and look around and make sure you like the neighborhood and the front yard and the backyard and everything. And if you still think that's the house for you, call the red phone number in the back window. You see, so now my salesman, instead of getting 200 calls over the weekend because I got 20 signs around 15 houses, now they're just getting 8 calls, but I'm capturing everyone's phone number. I still have them, but I'm only having to deal with the 8 that were serious enough this weekend to drive to a house and call the red phone number in the back window.
Nice.
If that doesn't work, I'll send out a text to everybody and say, meet me over there for an open house.
Nice.
Tomorrow. But so what's happening now is we went from 9 days on the market, texting everybody. As soon as we ran them all over to the Facebook business page, it dropped to 4 days. It happened the same time COVID hit, and I don't know if
That's
COVID
crazy.
was the reason, but I think it was coincidental that was COVID. I think that I started getting so many people following on the business page that I didn't have to go anywhere else. They wanted an owner finance home, period. There's not a lot of sites like mine. There's probably hardly any sites like mine. And so I'm training them. This is what you do. And then if you like the house, call the red number. They're going to take you inside. And if you still want the house and you still have 10% or more for a down payment, then you're going to need to write us a $2,000 non-refundable if you're approved, in a fundable minus your application fee if you're not approved. And so, and we're also going to need some paycheck stubs and this and that and the other, whatever we tell them. So now the people are showing up at the house. They called the red number in the back window. The salesman shows them the inside of the house. They say they want it. And he says, okay, well, next I'm going to need, and they say, yeah, we know. And they hand them a folder, and there's the check. Already made it out to my company for $2,000. They already know we've trained them.
That's awesome.
They're if you send a salesman out to your raw land or your house, and then they ask for a $2,000 check, they don't know if they should give that check to that guy or not, because they're not sure. But after they've been on your site for a while looking at houses, and they keep seeing this is how you buy our houses, and then they see happy people with exaggerated keys or holding their keys or holding their signed contract, happy people with their arms around my salesman, this guy's a legitimate business. They go ahead and let's make out the check and let's get the documents and let's go look at the house. And if we like it, we'll just hand it to him.
I love that. Putting it on a Facebook page. We complicate it sometimes too much, don't we?
Yes. I really was disappointed when they took away my homes2go.net site, because I worked a lot on it and I had it, but it was so much easier to post. Everyone knows how to post on Facebook. I didn't have to train my salesman how my website works and go here and click this and you have to have this file. That was just go over to Facebook and put it over there.
Nice.
Yeah. So
Nice. And it makes it easier too, I think, to post on Facebook Marketplace if you really had to.
yes, but let me just warn you, if you go over there to do this on this business page, they got a lot of fair housing. I want to call it, but I don't know. They have their reasons. So if you have a picture, you can't have a picture of just a white family or just a black family. You got to have a picture of like all different races or they won't open your site. You know, there's some things that they're sticklers on and you have to kind of learn that little nuance. It's kind of a pain in the ass, but you'll figure it out. But once you figure it out, you know, you don't make those mistakes anymore. And then your site, it's just going all the time. And imagine they call your sign and then they hang up after the recording. They know what to do. That message, that recorded message, because you can forward your lifetime number right to recorded message. If you get the details about that house right one time when you record it, it's right every time. And it'll answer the phone at 11:30 at night. And it'll answer at 6 o'clock on Sunday morning. It'll deliver everything they need to know because there's nothing else to ask.
Yeah. So that you'll have a different phone number for each property.
For each property. And then when that property sells, I don't even delete anyone out of it. I just change the name on it to the next address and I put it over there and I just keep building the list of people that's called to sign because I don't care which house they called on. I don't care. All I care about is that they called on an owner finance house. That's my client. That's my prospect right there. And by the time you get 10,000 of them, now my down payments are averaging close to 15% because there's competition that I get to pick and choose from. And I find better buyers for my land because I find the person who's going to build a house on it tomorrow after he buys it.
That's awesome.
So it's like I said, we said at the very beginning, you can pay the street to figure all this out, or you can pay a Mitch, or you can pay a McCall or a Jack Bosch or someone to just get to it.
Yep.
And believe me, I almost lost an entire career because I wasn't smart enough to hire a coach and I got burned a couple of times. And I almost walked away from this business on my first 2 deals because I got my kicked down the street because I didn't have a coach, because I was trying to learn on my own and I wasn't doing a very good job. And if I would have made that mistake, I hired a coach right after my second disaster and he showed me how to fix it, but I almost quit because of the defeats. And I would have quit a business that I didn't know it yet, but it was going to be a multi-million-dollar life-changing business for me. But because I didn't hire a coach, I almost quit.
Well, you know, here's the point. Money loves speed, right? Money loves speed. And if you want to make a lot of money, you can't just sit around and try to wait till it comes to you. You've got to be proactive. You got to pursue it. And especially when it comes to buying properties, you've got to be fast. And I was a professional student for 3 years, Mitch, like studying course after course. I was spending way more money on education than I was in actually making money. And I've heard it put this way. There's 2 laws for business, 2 laws to success. If you want to be successful in business, number 1, and I'll use the G-rated version, stop farting around, right? Stop farting around because that's all we're doing. We're spending time trying to build a website when you could just build a real simple Facebook page. Just get the Facebook page, put your properties on there. Stop farting around, right? If you had I heard the guy say it like this way. If you had a gun to your head, if Putin had a gun to your head and said, you build a website or you get this property online or I'm going to blow your head off, you would figure it out. Like you would go to YouTube and search for how to put my property online, right? And you would find a video that says, go to Facebook, get a page, business page, and put it on there, right? So you would do it, but we're just farting around. So, and then the second rule is stop being a sissy. Okay. Stop farting around and stop being a sissy. And the sissy is like, we'll go and spend $1,000 on a course, right? But we won't spend $1,000 on direct mail because we're afraid that it won't work. We'll spend all of this money on education, but we won't spend any money on actual marketing or won't spend any time trying to find private lenders and all because we're afraid.
That's why you hire the coach, because he already can tell you if you do your mailing X and it says X and you mail it to X, it's not going to work. But if you mail it to XYZ and the message is LMNOP and the other one's, that's what you pay for, is so that you don't go out there and fail, or you have a lot less chance of failing if you'll just go do what someone's already doing it knows works.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
People say, well, does owner financing strategy, does it really work? I said, well, I already know it works. The question is, are you going to work it? That's the only question. Are you going to work it?
Yeah.
Now there are states and counties that you don't want to owner finance in. And I'll be the first one to tell you, nah, I can't help you in New York, and I'm not going to help you in California or downtown Los Angeles. Not for you. If you want to do business, you want to live in Los Angeles and do business somewhere in Georgia or some flyover state where we actually have some laws where you can get someone out of a house if they don't pay. Okay, I'll teach you how to do that. You can do it from Los Angeles. Matter of fact, what I like about your course, on virtual wholesaling or whatever, is because if you actually learn to do business virtually or from another city, you live in Los Angeles and you've actually created a real business. You're going to be forced to, because of the distance. You're going to be forced to build a real business where you're working on your business, not in your business.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's what do we want business and money for? If you think about it, the only thing money buys you is freedom.
Yeah.
That's the only thing it'll buy you.
Yeah.
It won't buy you happiness. And when someone dies in Florida tomorrow and you live in Texas and you find out the day before the funeral, if you've been successful and have the money, you can buy that expensive next day ticket. You can get there, but you're not going to be happy when you get there.
That's good. Excellent. Mitch, it's been a great podcast.
It has been, man. So tell me what kind of courses, what kind of coaching, what are you offering? Because I always like to spend a little time on that because you spent your time here. So I want to let people know what you've got. You're going to go to 1000houses.com/vacant land, and that'll get you over to the show notes.
Yes.
And then you'll find out about everything he's about to tell you. Now you can get more information. So tell us.
Well, I'm right now in the middle of creating my class. So I'm teaching it live as we're recording this. It starts next week. And as soon as it's done, then we're going to sell it. But we're taking people through right now, just holding them by the hand and telling them, all right, so we're going to show you how to pick 3 or 4 different counties, right? Rural. We like to go after the cheap lots that are at least an hour or 2 hours away outside of the city. So we're looking for land that's worth maybe 10 grand. We're buying it for $1,000 or $2,000, right? So that's where we like to start. We want to start in the rural recreational land where somebody's going to go, ride their 4-wheelers and shoot their guns or whatever, go camping. But we're going to pick 3 or 4 counties. We're going to pull a list of motivated sellers. We're going to send them a simple handwritten postcard or a letter. And then we're going to send them an offer. And we're not going to talk to them until they actually see our offer at 20 cents on the dollar or whatever. And then if they take it, I'm averaging 1 out of every 9 offers right now, but on average, it'll be about 1 out of every 20. Yeah, we'll say yes, right? Which is way better than houses. And I'm not even talking to them yet. Well, once we get it under contract, we have 90 days to close, and we're going to sell it on owner financing. Now, you may want to flip it for cash and do a double close on it, right? So if you don't have the $2 grand to buy it now, but you found a buyer that's going to pay $8 in cash, that's a $6,000 profit. We have a title company that we work with nationwide that will double close, or you can get the money from Mitch. Transaction.
Or you can go get some credit cards at 0% introductory offers and buy a whole bunch of lots. I bought my first 100 houses on credit cards because houses in that city right there behind me in 1996 on the lesser parts of town were 8 grand, 10 grand, 12 grand, 15 grand.
Yeah.
So I was buying, give me 10 grand off this credit card, it buys it, and then give me 5 grand off this credit card, and it would do the remodel in 1996, But now you're talking those prices where you can actually buy these things on a credit card.
Yeah, that's why I love this, because we're not starting off, we're starting small. And this is, we're making a couple $100 a month if you're selling it on owner financing terms. If you're going to sell it for cash, you're getting 5 to 6, 7, 8 grand, sometimes more. But these are really simple, easy deals to do. And there is a huge demand for these properties. You may think, well, who would want to buy a property out? So anyway, I'm actually starting that class next week. So when you go to that site that Mitch just gave, 1000houses.com/vacant land, that will redirect you to a page where we can at least do a opt-in to get more information. Maybe by the
So
time
it's going to take them over to the show notes, and over there it'll have every link to anything you want.
Yeah.
If it's a podcast or
Perfect.
your course or the other courses you have or one-on-one or whatever you have, you can put it over there. You
Perfect,
get your
yeah.
people to talk to my people. We'll make it all great.
Awesome.
If you think there's a lot of demand for people to pay cash and make 8 or 10 grand, wait till you start offering seller finance at $5,000 to $7,000 more.
Yeah.
You're going to get flooded because there's more people that could make payments than there are that could write a check for 8 or 10 grand. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
So take your choice. You'll probably,
I'll
you'll
tell
probably
you
get
this
to
one
make
thing.
a choice.
I have a student in 1 year is already getting $10,000 a month in recurring revenue, in recurring income from his notes that he sold for vacant land, right? He's already at $10,000 a month. That's 120 grand a year.
Yeah.
And it's mailbox money.
Wouldn't you like to see an audience right now and say, how many people would be better off at 10 grand a month than they are right now? They'll probably,
Everybody would raise their
60%
hand.
of the audience's hand's going to go up.
Yeah.
And you'd own your own life. And guess what? You'd have 2,600 hours because you're self-employed now. You'd have 2,600 hours a year to improve yourself instead of someone else's business.
Very good.
It's worth it. All right, my friends. I love you, Joe. You're always a great guy.
Thanks,
You always come with the content. I love that about you. But please get to 1000houses.com/vacant land and check out what he has to offer. If you're looking for a coach, check him out. He's been around a long time. He knows what he's doing. I know him to give a damn about what he's teaching and to give a damn about his students. And you can't say that across the board. You can't say that across the board.
Yep.
So check him out. Thanks so much, Joe. I appreciate you.
Thanks, Mitch.
All right. This is Mitch Stephen with 1000houses.com podcast. I'd like to thank everybody for tuning in. There's over 540 podcast archives. So if you're not tired of me yet, just keep clicking on the next one and the next one and the next one until you can't stand me, because there's more of me over there in interviews than you'll ever watch, all on different topics. Also, I'd like to thank taxfreefuture.com. If you do not have a self-directed retirement plan, please check out taxfreefuture.com. Make sure you fill out the little microform there. It's, we promise not to hound the heck out of you with it, but you're going to get 32 little video vignettes open up to you. And it's going to open your eyes to what a tax deferred or tax-free savings account can do for you. It's a retirement account. It's unbelievable. And it's also going to show you the most interesting thing, how to take a little tiny amount of money, like 200 or 100 or 150 bucks, and turn it into big money like this. It has a lot to do with selling your position in a contract. There you go. All right, we're out of here. Bye now.